Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show, and it's time for another quick Leeds United update. I know I told you I'd be off now until Sunday, but obviously all this news has started to break around players, ins and outs, and I thought, you know what, I can't sit on it. I've got a bit of time this morning before I head to Leeds. Let's jump on. Let's update the fans of the Just Joe Football Show. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course, hit that notification bell. Now, just before we speak about Jack Harrison and, of course, the links to the now richest club in the world, Newcastle United, I want to give you a quick update on Rafinha, Calvin, and another player we've been linked with. So, obviously, I spoke to you yesterday about Rafinha and Calvin. We're hearing from Johannes Henschrag. I'm not sure. He's quite a big following on social media. He said, amid reports of Man City's interest in Phillips, I am told there are currently no talks with Calvin's representatives about a move. His desire has always been to stay at Leeds United, enhanced by the Premier League status, and the meeting awaits between Mr. Radrazani to discuss his future and a possible extension. So watch this space. Maybe Calvin will give us one more year. One player that I think we all can agree is probably going to leave is, of course, Rafinha, and it's been now reported on Sky Sports News that Barcelona intend to make their interest formal this week with an actual bid. I know we were told loosely that apparently a bid had already been rejected. Doesn't look like that's been the case. We know Rafinha wants to move there. Sky Sports are saying as much. I said to you before, it sounds like conversations have gone on and personal terms have all but been agreed. It's just a case of agreeing fees between the football club. So we'll have to watch this space on that one. Talking of wingers and of players that have decent output, that brings us nicely on to Jack Harrison. And of course, the news broke yesterday by a number of outlets that Newcastle are set to rival Tottenham for Leeds ace Jack Harrison. Now, I have done a bit of digging on the Tottenham side of things, spoke to a few people that do similar sort of transfer shows, and they've not heard anything. They do believe there was interest back in January, but that looks to have cooled. And we know that now they're in the Champions League. Antonio Conte's got a bit of a war chest. Maybe they're looking elsewhere other than Jack Harrison. Maybe they were going to look to play him as a left wing back potentially. I know that's been mooted before. I think City's seen him as that for a long period of time, but before he actually moved on. And of course, he's now a Leeds United player. What I want to say, I've seen a lot of stuff on social media about Jack Harrison, and I want to know your opinions and thoughts in the comments. Like, I've seen a lot of people say, okay, it's Newcastle, they're going to pay big money, let's move him on. I don't agree with that sentiment. I actually think Jack Harrison is very, very underrated within this Leeds United squad because he goes about his business. He doesn't moan. He doesn't cause a scene. He just gets on. He just gets on. And of course, at times he can cut a frustrating figure. But let's not forget, this guy was our second top scorer this season. And we have to remember, and of course, you would rather keep Rafinha. But ultimately, that's out of our hands. Rafinha wants to go. Barcelona come and knocking. He's leaving, right? What we then can't do is say, okay, we'll lose our top scorer, and then we'll also lose our second top scorer. We don't know what's going to happen with KP, and then we've got Bamford fitness issues. For me, it'd be a massive loss if we were to lose Jack Harrison. And there's even a case that Jack Harrison will continue to improve. We have seen continuous progression from Jack Harrison. Okay, this season, it's been in and out form-wise. If we look at his first campaign, he scored 8 goals and got 8 assists, right? First time in the Premier League. This time, he got more goals. He got 10 goals. Okay, he only got 2 assists. But we've not been great this season. So for him to still notch 10 goals and be the second top scorer in the squad, he's decent. And let's not forget, he got his first senior hat-trick this season as well, which is no mean feat. Hat-tricks are not easy to come by, especially when you're playing a team like West Ham. So I think he gets a lot of unfair criticism. And I think there's a lot of fans saying, oh, Jack Harrison, he's inconsistent. When actually you peel it back, is he really? But there's a lot of people that'll say, yeah, he's inconsistent. We can command a big fee. Let's move him on. But we have to then think of what that's going to do to the squad. If you lose Rafinha, if you lose KP, if you then lose Harrison, what's going to happen? And of course, there'll be talk of this narrow system, which, I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of. And I've said before the end of the season, our best player is a winger. We're playing with no width. You have to utilise your strengths. And you would argue that Harrison is an out-and-out winger, or he likes to play wide. But a counter narrative to that, I will say that in terms of adapting to Jesse Marsh's system, Jack Harrison's probably got it quicker than most, especially quicker than Dan James, quicker than any other wingers we have in our squad. I think someone like Somerville may become surplus to requirements. But look, Bielsa, let's not forget as well, also adopted to play Jack Harrison centrally. Once upon a time, he played false nine for us back in the Championship in that first season. Okay, I'm not advocating that being a position for him, but what I'm saying is, we've seen Marsh go central. We've even seen Bielsa adopt him as a central player. And you can see that he definitely adjusted to Marsh's system better than any other winger we have in the side, So presuming Raf is off, we need to keep him in the side for me personally. Now, of course, money talks. It's interesting to see Newcastle coming in for Jack Harrison, not least because they have Ryan Fraser and Alan St. Maximin playing on that left flank for them. Okay, Ryan Fraser, but big player in Alan St. Maximin. I think a lot of Leeds fans and a lot of Premier League football fans have a very high opinion of Alan St. Maximin. I think he's good, yeah. I do see shades of a Traore in him. Okay, his end product may be better. I think it can be all about him. And how interesting is it that Eddie Howe's coming to Newcastle? They've fostered this, this group. We're all together. We see pictures of when they're, getting great results, and it all looks good. But Alan St. Maximin, I believe, look, I don't watch shed loads of Newcastle, but it has to be about him. And I feel that the fact that we're hearing about this makes you think, okay, does that mean Alan St. Maximin might move on? I've seen people say, we'll take a swap deal. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that'll happen. But yeah, it's quite interesting to see them coming in for him in the first place. I was surprised when Tottenham did. But again, I think that shows how underappreciative we can be. I remember in that first season in the Premier League, the amount of praise Jack Harrison got from fellow pros, both in the game and those that have retired. Rio Ferdinand spoke well of him. There's a number of top pundits that spoke really well about Jack Harrison. And it just shows me, they see the game differently to us. They've played the game. They have you can take their opinion with gusto. Okay, there's some you take with a pinch of salt, Gabriel Bonlahor, etc. But I think Jack Harrison is a great player. He's still very young. He has progressed season on season, and you would argue it's not the right time to be selling him. And I know that might sound mad when I was talking yesterday about Rafinha and Calvin. Of course, I understand. I've seen a lot of the comments those saying you need to keep your best players and build around them. But we're not able to do that as a football club right now, because we need to sell players in order to bolster the squad. Eventually, you come to a position where you don't need to do that. We've seen it. We've seen it. You could argue Liverpool, they once did that, had to sell Suarez, had to sell Coutinho. Now Liverpool have to sell Jack. You know what I mean? And that's a huge club in Liverpool. Leicester City, the same. Harry Maguire's, etc. and N'Golo Kante's. Okay, they've not had a great season, but let's not have recency bias in this. Leicester have won a Premier League and an FA Cup, and we have to be realistic and say that, okay, someone like a Calvin, who's a jewel in the crown, may move on. Someone like a Rafinha may move on. But then what we don't want to do is then when them top players have been stripped off the carcass, we don't then want to say, oh yeah, you can have the legs and that as well, and leave ourselves totally underprepared and underrepresented in the football club, And Jack Harrison, for me, he gets a lot of unfair criticism. His numbers are decent. He's our second top scorer. And you could argue, he was better that previous season with Gianni Alioski behind him, a better fullback. As much as I threw shade at Gianni Alioski, we missed him. And him and Jack Harrison had a great connection down that left-hand side. And I'd always said that when Firpo was signed, I had Firpo and Harrison in my FPL teams, because I was like, that left-hand side will be electric. Okay, we know it wasn't. Firpo's not great. Our season nosedived, etc., etc. But put a decent fullback behind him, and that could change. Put a number 9 in there, Bamford, fit all the time. His assists this season improve. He only got 2, but his assists 100% improve. Just look at the setup for Joffrey's first goal that were disallowed at the weekend. The foresight to get into that position, playing centrally, bearing in mind he was on the left wing, he played so central, and he dinked it over to Joffrey, who put it in the back of the net. I think we we are being a little underappreciative of what Jack Harrison can offer us. And that's why clubs like Tottenham and Newcastle, okay, previously in seasons gone by, you might say, well, Newcastle is a sideways step. It's not anymore. It's not anymore. They're going to get bigger and bigger. They're the club, they're the world's richest club. And they're looking at Jack Harrison. So that should make us sit back and think, okay, what is in this? Because I do think he's underappreciated. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. I want Jack Harrison to stay. I think it would be suicide to move him on along with, say, if Rafinha went and KP went. Hopefully KP stays as well. If the reports are believed to be true, that maybe he wants to sign a new deal. I think we only get 1 more year out of him personally, if he does stay. But we then can't then say, no, have the rest as well. You know, we can't, because Jack Harrison's up there. Listen, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching the Just Joe Football Show. I will now have time off, okay? You won't see me now until after Sunday. Peace out. Leeds, Leeds, Leeds.